There's a number quietly deciding Ryan's future right now, and the strange part is, he wasn't even tracking it. Not his salary, not his monthly expenses, not even his savings account. And here's the uncomfortable truth: Ryan could be earning more money than ever before and still be falling behind. That's the part he never saw coming. Because while Ryan was busy chasing income, comparing salaries, and feeling good about progress, he wasn't paying attention to the one number that actually determines whether he'll retire comfortably or spend his later years stressed about money. That number was his net worth. Now here's where it gets interesting. Ryan always thought he was doing okay financially because he earned a decent income, but he slowly realized something important. His income was just money passing through his hands. His net worth was the money that actually stayed. And the gap between those two was quietly shaping his entire financial future. So Ryan decided to take this seriously. He wanted to understand where he stood compared to others and, more importantly, what he could do about it. Because knowing the number means nothing if you don't know how to change it. Before going further, Ryan broke it down in the simplest way possible. Net worth is everything he owns minus everything he owes. His savings, his small investments, maybe a few assets, minus any debts like loans or credit cards. And when he calculated it honestly, he realized something surprising. His number wasn't as strong as he expected. It wasn't a failure, it was just math. But it was also his starting point, and now that he understood it, he knew he could start improving it. Then Ryan looked at the bigger picture. He found that the average net worth in 2026 was around $600,000. At first, that number made him feel like he was behind. But then he discovered something most people miss. That average is heavily skewed by extremely wealthy individuals. The median net worth, which represents the actual middle, was much lower, around $190,000. That changed everything for Ryan. He realized he had been comparing himself to an unrealistic standard all along. Now Ryan wanted to understand how this changes with age, because that's where things become personal. When he looked at people in their 20s, he was shocked. The median net worth was incredibly low, and for many, it was close to zero or even negative because of student loans. That's when Ryan felt a sense of relief. If someone in their 20s feels behind, they're probably not. They're right where most people are. But Ryan also saw the opportunity. The 20s are not about being rich, they're about building momentum. He imagined two people. One earns a modest income but saves consistently, even a small amount. The other earns more but spends everything. 10 years later, the first person quietly builds a strong financial base, while the second stays stuck. Ryan understood that this is where habits begin to shape the future. So he decided that avoiding high-interest debt, saving consistently, and building valuable skills would be the smartest moves early on. As Ryan moved into thinking about his 30s, things started to feel more serious. This is the stage where income usually grows, life becomes more stable, but expenses also increase. Ryan noticed a dangerous pattern called lifestyle inflation. As people earn more, they also spend more. Better lifestyle, better things, but no real growth in net worth. That's where Ryan realized the real challenge wasn't earning more money, it was keeping more of it. So he made a shift in mindset. Instead of upgrading his lifestyle with every increase in income, he focused on controlling his spending, eliminating unnecessary debt, and building a strong emergency fund. Because he understood that life is unpredictable, and without preparation, one setback can undo years of progress. When Ryan looked at his 40s, he saw a different kind of pressure. This is often the most financially demanding period of life. Responsibilities increase, expenses grow, and time starts to feel more limited. Many people reach this stage and realize they are not as far ahead as they thought. Ryan didn't want that uncertainty. He understood that guessing wasn't enough anymore. He needed clarity. He needed to know how much he would need for the future, what his actual expenses looked like, and what kind of life he wanted later on. Once he started thinking this way, his decisions became sharper, and his financial direction became more intentional. Then came the realization about the 50s. For Ryan, this was the decade where everything became real. Retirement was no longer far away. It was approaching. And he saw how people react differently at this stage. Some panic, while others prepare. Ryan chose to prepare. He realized that even if someone feels behind, this decade still offers a powerful opportunity to catch up. Income is often at its highest, and with discipline, it's possible to make significant progress. So Ryan focused on maximizing his savings, reducing risks, and shifting his mindset from aggressive growth to protecting what he had built. Because at this stage, losing money could be more damaging than missing out on gains. By the time Ryan thought about his 60s, his perspective changed completely. This was no longer about building wealth, it was about living off it. And this is where he understood a critical truth that most people misunderstand. Retirement is not about replacing income, it's about covering expenses. If someone earns a high income but lives on less, they don't need to replace everything. They only need to sustain their lifestyle. This made Ryan's goals feel more realistic and his plan more achievable. It also reduced the stress that comes from chasing the wrong numbers. When Ryan stepped back and looked at everything, one thing became clear. At every age, there is a massive gap between average and median net worth. A small group of people are far ahead, while most are somewhere in the middle or behind. But instead of feeling discouraged, Ryan saw something powerful in that gap. It meant progress is possible. It meant movement is possible. It meant he was not stuck. His financial future was not fixed. It was being shaped every single day by his decisions. So Ryan created a simple framework for himself. If he ever felt behind, he would focus on increasing his savings and eliminating high-interest debt. If he felt stuck, he would look at his lifestyle and adjust his spending. And if he was ahead, he would stay consistent and avoid becoming careless. Because he realized that consistency is what builds real wealth over time. In the end, Ryan stopped comparing himself to others. Because he finally understood a simple truth. Wealth is not built by how much he earns. It is built by the gap between what he earns and what he keeps. And that gap is something he can control starting today. Now Ryan asks himself one question regularly. Are his daily financial decisions moving him forward or quietly holding him back? Because net worth doesn't change overnight. It reflects years of choices. But that's also what makes it powerful. The choices Ryan makes today will show up in his future. And Ryan knows one thing for sure now. No matter where someone stands today, they can change their direction. Just like he decided to. Starting now.